My name is Brooke Morris. I'm the owner and operator of Battleground Farm and Battleground Brands. And we've been here for about 4 years, but we've only been in business for a little over 1 year. If you look at old maps, ball ground used to be called Battleground. And right here is where some of those battles would have taken place. Right here and then up the road about 2 miles, which is one reason why we named it Battleground Farm. What do we do at Battleground Farm? We do quite a few things. We do what we love, and we love really, God, family, country, that's first and foremost. But our products are beef jerky. We've got 5 flavors of beef jerky. We do box ship, we do all the orders, all the fulfillment from the farm. And then the other thing we do is a product called the Bourbon Bullet. So imagine a whiskey barrel where all the age and the flavor gets into the whiskey from the barrel. The bullet is basically, you turn a barrel inside out, make it smaller, and you put it in the whiskey bottle. And what it does is it makes it more flavorful, takes a lot of the burn out, and it continues that aging and maturing process. But it does it in about 4 days. So it's a brand new product. A lot of people love it because it's patriotic, it's veteran owned, and it makes whiskey actually way better. So this was actually in Iraq, and it was a Humvee that I think Marine infantry or recon used when they were over there. So I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I got out in 2006, and then I went into corporate America, where I worked for AT&T, worked for SunTrust Bank, worked for Hilton. Due to a merger of SunTrust Bank, that's one of the reasons why I left there. But it was fantastic because it was exactly at the right time in order to really start this business. So when we started the business, we launched, I was actually still looking for another corporate job. And we thought this was really just going to be a side business. And when COVID-19 hit, there were no jobs at all. And so I personally struggled on what are we going to do? I really need to go find another corporate job. And I think the hardest part was I'm a data and analytics guy, and the work that we were doing before I really jumped in, the data just wasn't there to support, hey, I've got a mortgage and I've got kids to feed and I've got all these things. I don't know that this business is going to be able to do it. And then my wife said, why don't we just work on what we have? Because right now that's kind of the only option that we do have. And it really could be that COVID-19 is actually kind of good for us. I mean, it's an online business. People are at home buying stuff, so why not just push it? Once we started putting in, money into our advertising, then once we really started kind of polishing our products and our marketing and our messaging, then the data and analytics came, and I was able to see, hey, this actually really is going to work. And the American market is massive online. And a lot of these retailers that are shutting down, a lot of those people are going online to buy it. So I was just real hesitant. I didn't know if people were going to buy my products. And, with a little bit of messaging and some advertising, it's been tremendously well. I was so focused on getting back into corporate America when really the whole time I had kind of the golden opportunity here. We love this business because it allows us to do what we like, jerky and bourbon. But it also allows us to give back to veteran organizations and other organizations that we're really passionate about. One of the things that really drives our motivation is just being able to help some of those guys who come back from war, who can't really find jobs, or they are struggling in areas. Our products, proceeds from each sale goes directly to those organizations. And so that's something that we're really proud of. Even though it's been really good for us and my business, for my family, I know other people who've been severely impacted. And so my heart goes out to those people, to those other businesses. I have a brother who owns restaurants, and his have been, incredibly, COVID's been incredibly detrimental to him. And so my heart goes out to him and other business owners and other people in corporate, So I think just making sure that you keep that in perspective, as even if your business is doing great, other people are struggling through this. And so if you can kind of figure out a way to help them, That's really, I think, one of the keys.
Hi, my name is Zachary Will, and I'm just about to drive up to Jasper, Georgia to meet up with Jessica from Within Wellness Yoga and Massage, and talk with her about her experience of her business closing from COVID-19 and actually losing her space.
I'm Jessica Carter. My business is Within Wellness Yoga and Massage, and we had a little studio in downtown Jasper that really had a variety of yoga classes as well as massage and energy work. I was introduced to my business partner from a mutual friend, and we became fast friends. She let me know that she wanted to open a wellness center in Jasper, which we don't have anything along those lines in downtown Jasper. And I said, oh great, I'll teach essential oil classes for you. And for a while, we just kind of went with that. She was gonna we're definitely gonna have yoga, I was gonna have massage, I would teach essential oils. And one thing led to another, and all of a sudden I became yoga certified and was also the yoga teacher. I really wanted a place for community, first of all, and I wanted a place where people could come who wanted to get healthier. So whether that was get better night's sleep or more exercise, more energy, or feel less aches and pains. Really, whatever their goal is, I wanted to help them do that. The studio opened February 3rd, 2020, and we closed March 13th, 2020. We were only open for 6 weeks. I think most small businesses thought we were going to be closed to 2 to 4 weeks. The big surprise for me is that it's lasted this long, and we're really not sure when or if we're going to be able to reopen.
How did you feel when your business had first opened up and you were just getting started and had to close back up?
That was rough. We were so excited to open, and things were going well, and you were kind of feeling that snowball effect of people were bringing friends and telling their friends, and when it closed, it was almost like, okay, well, what do we do now, and how do we move this business forward, or do we move this business forward? At the beginning, I really think we thought we were gonna open back up shortly, but as time progressed, it became pretty clear that it was going to be a while, if ever. So that, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking for sure. I'm super blessed to have had the essential oil part of my business established, and people are really buying essential oils and supplements right now because they want to be healthy. They want to avoid going to the doctor if at all possible. So financially, even though the studio's closed, I haven't felt that impact. I feel super blessed about that. And I found a way to do that part of the business completely at home, whereas before I was going out and meeting people and teaching in-person classes, and so that all moved to digital.
I'm Jaden, and I run Candles by Jaden. It's a business I started about 2 or 3 years ago. I started when I was like 14, 15. It started as a joke, honestly. Because like my mom's like a candle fanatic, and my dad was like, you know, why don't you just start making her candles? So he got us like a candle set for Christmas, and like we started experimenting. I was like, this is really cool. And it started like family, they were like, wow, that's really cool. Like, what if you know, like send us some? I'm like, okay, like, are you gonna pay me for shipping? And I was joking, of course. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. So like they started like doing that. They started burning them in their houses. Like they'd have visitors. They're like, wow, like she's 15. I'm like, and I don't know, I have allergies. My brother has allergies, and like it's a big thing in our house. So like if they're not like soy-based candles, if they're not like the allergens in like regular candles tend to like upset our noses, and we get like really sneezy and coughy. But like we get like sick. So we make like soy-based candles with essential oils, and I don't know, it's fun. I never really thought it'd blow up like it did, because like when like they started like giving me money, I was like, well, like I'm 15, I don't really need money. And I was like, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna, you know, we're gonna turn around, we're gonna buy some cans, we're gonna go donate them. And they're like, wait, if you're gonna just take the money and donate it, like we're gonna keep buying candles from you. I've actually thought about it, 'cause it's my senior year, so I've thought about like going to school for business, or like getting like a secondhand degree in that, or like specializing in that and like keeping it going. Cause like, I don't know, I have like I keep feeling a special place in my heart, but like I don't know, I feel like I don't need it, like, but someone else would. So if I can do anything to help someone who needs it, then I would. Well, like when I was in middle school, like going into high school, I was always the youngest, I was always the smallest. So I used to use my energy and my loud mouth, because I was a social butterfly according to some of my teachers. I used to use that as my way of like making friends. And then like I was homeschooled my 10th grade year. So I was pulled out of school, I lost like a lot of my connection with my friends. I was like, okay, well like maybe this is good for myself, take a little mental health break. And that's when I started like, okay, candles. So like that was like my outlet, and like candles, because I couldn't do sports because I was injured. And I couldn't really do music because I wasn't like musically inclined at the time. I was like really sad. So all my music, all the stuff I was writing was really sad. It was raw emotion. I was like, I'm gonna do anything I can to make myself okay right now. And candles were just there. So I put in all my energy to that. And then I went back to school my junior year, and halfway through the year, they're like, oh, coronavirus. And I was like, oh, back to homeschool. And like it got like really hard around our house. Like it was the, 5 of us. When people are around each other for a really long time, they tend to get on each other's nerves. And it was just like, it was really hard, like emotionally. And like it got to a point where like I didn't want to leave the bed. Like I was just really sad. And like giving back was my way of like getting my happiness back. Like even if it was like for a short period of time, like that's what made me want to wake up in the morning, is the candle business. Is okay, I'm gonna make candles, I'm gonna sell them, and I'm gonna give back. Because even though I'm not where I should be right now, they're not either. We actually went down the first 2 or 3 months, we went down. And it was kind of stressful, because I was like, oh, well like it died, like maybe it was fun while it lasted. And then like I remember my best friend, I had called her, I was like, yeah, and she was in the living room, she's in the living room with her family. And her mom's like, wait, you make candles? I'm like, wait, she didn't tell you? And she's like, oh my gosh, I love candles. She had a really big order. She bought 14 candles. And I was like, that's enough for a good amount of cans, and like we could do something with that. And then like we posted it, and they're like, wait, you still do that? And it got like really quickly, like we started getting orders in. It was like, it went from like right here to like right here really quickly. And it just like, I don't know, it was like a flashlight. Like it was off, and then someone clicked the button, and all of a sudden like this light was shining through. It was like, that couldn't have not been God. It was like, I feel like he really helped me out, because I feel like that's what I needed to get myself out of this hole that I was stuck in. I feel like it filled like a void in my life. Like giving back filled that void, and I was genuinely happy, and I haven't been genuinely happy in a really long time. And this giving back, the donations, making candles, like I have some kind of outlet, and it's like, it's healthy. Like I'm not doing anything to like harm myself. I'm not doing anything to harm each other. Like I'm relaxed. I'm like at peace, because I know I'm doing something to help other people. Like I'm doing something for the better. I don't say I'm glad coronavirus happened, but like I'm kind of glad it happened, because I feel like it was a really good learning experience for me. It was a really good growth experience for me. So like I feel like genuinely, if my mom were to let me go out tomorrow and she would tell me, okay, go do what you got to do, I'd be able to do it. And like I like to thank my customers for that too, because they help me learn, they help me grow. And a lot of them, they're older than me. I mean, you don't see very many, 16-year-olds, 17-year-olds like buying candles, and they're super supportive for the most part. As a business owner, like you learn to you learn to take it. I feel like I've grown some thick skin with it, because I've had some people like they approach it in a nice way, some people approach it in a not so nice way. And it's like it's really discouraging. It's taken a lot, really. It's taken a lot to like keep it going. I know there's been a lot of times where I'm like, Mom, I quit. She's like, what do you mean you quit? It's like, I'm not doing it anymore, you can do it. She's like, don't let them get to you. And I think that's been one of the biggest like difficulties with it. It's like not letting people get to me. It's really hard to maintain a business when you can't be face to face. Because I know a lot of it's through like Facebook Messenger. A lot of people like text my number, they email me, and like I can't see their emotion. Cause like that's how I rely on like how I respond to people, is like their tone. And I read everything. Like if people use punctuation, I don't know why, I read that with like they're angry at me. I'm like, so I apologize a lot, and they're like, what are you apologizing for? I'm like, I don't know, I'm sorry. And they're like, why are you apologizing? I'm like, I don't know, because I don't like feeling like I'm bothering people. And my mom's like, sometimes you just gotta you gotta hit it head on. Like you gotta be more aggressive with some people, because that's the only way they're gonna respond to you. And then like, as a business owner, like you need to understand, I've talked to a few, I have a mentor now. I have a candle mentor. I'm blanking on her name. She's been doing it for years. She's an older woman, so like she's got the whole like wisdom aspect of it. She's got the whole business aspect of it. And like just like watching her post, like watching like how she talks to people, like it really helps me understand from like a business point of view, like how you're supposed to deal with people, because it can't always be based on your emotions. And that's a really hard thing for me to understand, because I'm still stuck in the teenager phase. Like I'm still like, well, I'm a teenager, I'm still a kid. At the same time, like I'm kind of an adult now. I need to be serious, I need to take this seriously. It can't always be all laughing and jokes. And quarantine really pushed me to mature. Open with my feelings, and you're not supposed to do that like when you run a business. Like you're supposed to keep like political aspects out of it, and that's really hard like right now. Like with like everything that's going on, like all the movements going on, I'm like I feel so strongly about certain things, and people are like, you're not allowed to though. I'm like, you can't tell me I can't feel what I feel. And Mom's like, you have to stay neutral when you post about stuff, because they're gonna make you lose customers. I'm like, but I'm allowed to have my opinion, my take on things that need to be spoken about.
So I'm Whitney Finley, and
I'm Ryan Finley, and we're the owners of Hot Wheels Skate Center in Woodstock, Georgia. So my family has been in the skating business for 75 years, third generation. Our rink started out in Kentucky, and then in 2013 we moved to Woodstock and bought this facility. I would say that, seeing families and creating an atmosphere where anybody can come in and enjoy, roller skating. They can come in as a family, skate as a family. We have a lot of, families that come in and this is their thing. Friday, Saturday, they're here skating as a family, and, creating memories with birthday parties, growing up, having adults come to you. Like I remember my first birthday party at the skating rink, and just creating those lasting memories.
we really like, we run our business as a family-owned and operated business. We've always ran the rink together. We've had managers that help, but it's usually me and him doing everything. Our kids are normally here running around crazy. And we like that because all the families that come in, they really appreciate seeing a family run a business, especially something like a roller rink, because you don't see like a lot of big entertainment centers that are ran by families today. So that's really nice that our families come in and they see that it's ran by a family. It's something they can all do together. The parents, you know, they just love it because they've did it as a kid, so when they hear a song like an 80s song or, you know, a song that they skated to as a kid, it really like gets them going on the floor, and it's really nice to see everybody kind of enjoy something together as a family. So that's one thing we love about the business, is just seeing families together.
I think we were at Disney World with our family when they made the first announcement about COVID, and it was the first we had heard about it. And we didn't think much about it. And then March, I think 15th rolled around, the week before, and our business went from booked with birthday parties to nobody.
Yeah,
all our parties canceled. It was crazy.
Typically during our busy months, which are the winter months, we're doing 35 to 40 parties a weekend. And so February was pretty good, and then the middle of March, like all of our parties started canceling like crazy, and we just knew that we were going to have to shut down. So we had 2 really bad weekends. We were probably 80-90% down from our regular, you know, what we normally make. So we shut down that next weekend, and we thought it was just going to be like a 2-week thing and that everything would be good. We were telling our employees, you know, we're going to get through this and it's just going to be a 2-week thing. Me and him came in here, and you know, we're used to working like 80 hours a week because we're business owners. So we were coming in here and vacuuming carpets and cleaning and doing everything we can to stay busy and have everything super, super clean. So when the guests come back in 2 weeks, we were good to go. And it didn't happen like that. It wasn't 2 weeks, it was months. So we ended up opening back on May 29th, and that was our opening day, opening weekend.
It's been rough. I would say we're still not doing what we were before. It's just trying new things. We're not in the need department. We're in the want department. We're entertainment. So getting people to want to come skating and getting people to come in and feel safe and having them want to come back is, you know, a main priority. So it's making sure that our staff are, you know, staying on top of entertainment, staying on top of cleaning, and making our customers feel 100% safe and entertained when they're here. So I think that, you know, we just have to stay on top of everything, you know, and stay in the know.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is we've learned a lot about grace, because some people come in and, you know, they're skeptical because it's the first time they've came out, and, you know, skating's not something they have to do.
It's being understanding. It's listening and not going too hard into the conversation.
Just trying to take in everybody's feelings for everything.
The biggest struggle would be the free time and the probably the loan situations with, you know, getting government loans and dealing with all that hassle. The free time, it's been a long time since I've been home on a Friday or Saturday. Yeah. I'm usually always here. So that first weekend was kind of like, okay, you know, it's like a snow day without the snow. Yeah. We'll just kind of take it and relax. And then the second weekend you get kind of stir crazy because you're like, I need to be there. Something just doesn't feel right.
We were coming on weekends just because we don't have weekends off. Like our kids, you know, they're not used to us on the weekends off, so they're like, what's going on? And It was just crazy.
It was.
We were coming in here every weekend just to clean, just because we were like, I mean, we took over this business in 2013, but before that we were, you know, in Kentucky at our other skating rink, and even our honeymoon, like we got engaged and took over the skating rink when we were engaged, and so our honeymoon, he hung drywall, and I worked a school party and did a read and roll program with kids. So we never even really had a honeymoon. So like to have all this time, it was really kind of crazy that we had so much time on our hands.
Yeah.
We enjoyed it with our kids. You know, we tried to make the best of it, but
It was awkward.
it was definitely really hard because you just start thinking about, you know,
Oh, I need to
what's
get this
going
done. I
on.
need to get that done.
Yeah.
And then seeing your business bank account start dwindling from
Yeah.
bills that have to be paid, and you're like, I got to get in there and get something done.
Yeah.
But
We were working in here with no air conditioning just to, you know, save money and we cut all of our expenses besides our regular bills that go out. So, like even when our kids were here, we were like, okay, you can only turn the skate floor lights on because our bank account, I mean, we went from starting to have the best year we've ever had to the worst year we've ever had because it just was really scary. We didn't know how we were going to make it, or, you know, he was looking for jobs, I was looking for jobs. It was kind of crazy there towards the end because we didn't know how it was going to come out.
it's very discouraging when you build something up and it's doing great and everything's going great, and then at the snap of a finger, everything just changes. And it's nothing that you did personally to hurt your business. It's something completely out of your control.
Yeah.
And it makes you definitely have gratitude for what you have and what, you know, what your life is. You know, it definitely slowed me down a little bit and smell the roses.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, my name is Harry, one of the founders of Alma Coffee. Started the business with my wife and father-in-law about 3 years ago.
Yeah, so my name is Leticia Hutchins, and I'm the owner and co-founder of Alma Coffee. So Alma Coffee actually means soul in Spanish. That's what Alma means. And the reason we came up with that name was really because it's our whole heart and soul that we've put into this business. And it's not just by us. It was founded by myself, my husband, and my dad, but also 5 generations before us. So from my dad's side of the family, we are 5th generation coffee farmers. We can trace it back 5 generations, and we think it goes back even further than that. So we're from a small town called Corquin in Honduras, and that's where we still have our family farms today.
Started out small little basement, online, and now has become, you know, a pretty sizable roastery here in Holly Springs.
So we farm all our own coffee. We export it ourselves directly here to our roastery in North Georgia, roast it fresh every single day, and then prior to the pandemic had a coffee shop in downtown Woodstock.
So Alma Coffee is really built on 3 pillars: improving lives, sustainability, and extraordinary coffee. When we started that was the goals in mind. Improving the lives of the farmers in Central America, improving the local community here by building community with coffee, and then sustainability in everything we do. That's at the farm. We are certified USDA organic, fair trade TSA, we're shade grown, bird friendly. So everything we do is in the idea of preserving Mother Nature for the long run, 50, 100 years out for the next generations. And so that's what really inspired us, that there's a big difference that we can make in the coffee industry, really because the industry as a whole, a lot of problems that we can fix, not only with a lot of deforestation, but the taking advantage of many of the farmers that grow the crop of coffee. Between the farm to an individual drinking a cup of coffee, you can have 6 to 7 middlemen even before you leave that country of Honduras. So that's a lot of people that are many times taking advantage of the low man on the totem pole, which is the farmer, not paying them a fair wage, not giving them, the well-deserved earnings of their hard work. So our goal and our idea with Alma was, how do we bridge that gap between the consumer and the farmer, giving them a much better fair wage, bringing extraordinary coffee to the consumer. That really makes a difference.
It's really just being able to put a smile on people's face, and it can be from the simplest thing as being able to pass someone a cup of coffee and make their morning, or knowing that we're making a difference at origin for coffee farmers. So not only do we source from our own farms, but we also have a program called Alma Adoptions, where we actually adopt other farmers' farms as long as they upkeep their quality. We agree to pay them a better price than market, a fair price, something that they can actually live off of, take care of their families, feed their kids, put their kids in school with. And then we commit to that coffee, bring it here to the US, and help other roasters source from it. So it's being able to help others.
And what were your first reactions to when COVID hit and the initial impact?
It was devastation. I mean, we had no idea what was going to happen. Going through the pandemic is hard enough, but then we're a startup. We are still trying to figure out everything. And we thought we had a plan. We thought things were smoothing out. We had just gone over the 1-year hump of being entrepreneurs, and then throw in COVID, and we just had no idea what was going to happen. So we took it step by step. Our coffee shop has been closed for over 5 months, which has been horrible. But we've been able to pivot and really focus on online. We saw that everyone wanted to be able to order their favorite products from the comfort of their own home. So we switched to a model of free shipping, which took a hit on us. We basically just wanted to turn inventory to cash and be able to survive, pay our employees, and just make it through. And the community really came out and supported. They kept buying, they kept supporting us, and we're really thankful for that.
They were tough. I mean, a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of stress. I mean, when March, COVID came really, very suddenly. I mean, March, and then when March came, everything just kind of quickly came to a grinding halt. Our business and what Alma is about, we had a cafe. We service a lot of local businesses, restaurants, cafes with our coffee, and all of a sudden overnight, within about a week, everything just shut down. So you can imagine our revenues and our sales just went to zero overnight. But bills didn't stop. We still had employees. We still had utilities and bills and mortgages and everything to pay. With no revenues overnight, it was a very scary time. So there was a week of just very sleepless nights, a lot of stress, and scary times. But overnight, or within a very short amount of time, we really pivoted to focus online and just support where we can. We started doing free shipping. A lot of folks were going to be at home, and we wanted to make sure that they had their cup of coffee. So free shipping to get it to their homes, and just figuring out what else we could do to help the community. So we started doing donations to local first responders, from the police departments to the hospitals, just trying to make sure that we were still here for the community, even when all this stuff was kind of craziness. I mean, going crazy with, coffee is how many people start their day. It's kind of a habit builder. We just felt what we can do with our part there is just be there for the community, and support them because they've supported us. My background is I was an accountant before, went into roasting coffee. So online is something that's very new to me. I'm big numbers guy, not so much a techie or able to a website guru. So not really knowing what people want to see on the website or this and that. That was a big challenge, but with a lot of feedback from friends and a lot of hard work from my wife Leticia, we were able to pivot there. But I think kind of going into the unknown, especially in a kind of a crazy world where in April, March and April, where things were very different. No one knew what tomorrow was going to bring. Pivoting and making sure that we were putting our time and efforts into the right areas that was the biggest challenge, and it really was kind of a leap of faith, hoping that the online would be able to pick up, and thankfully it did. The perseverance of our team, I mean, we have an amazing crew. Rachel, Jonathan, my wife Leticia, my father-in-law Al, and then the whole family of supporters that we have around us are my parents, my friends, and the local community. How much perseverance and how incredibly generous they have been to support our small business. When all this happened, I mean, if it wasn't for the support of the community, it wasn't the support of the team, we probably wouldn't be around. The community rallied around and purchased online and helped our online business grow. And then the team, they knew the severity of the situation, and they really believed in the vision of Alma, believed in what we were doing, and then believed in themselves to make this thing work. That was just a lot of late hours, a lot of sweat and tears.
So coffee comes straight from our farms in Honduras. We bring coffee up in 42,000-pound containers. They're 20-foot containers, and we unload them by hand and palletize them right here to our warehouse, where we roast fresh for you every single day. So today we're roasting, so I'm about to show you that process over here. So this is our roaster. It is a Loring Smart Roaster. It's actually the most environmentally friendly roaster on the market. We're very proud of her. Her name is Lorelei. She's USA made, which was really important to us because we are a veteran-owned company. She is so awesome because she emits 80% less emissions into the air than other conventional roasters. This is very important to us. As farm owners, we're very big on sustainability, so having an environmentally friendly roaster was key for us continuing that model. So over here is where we house all of our green bean. So we'll roast this up ourselves, but we also help other roasters across the nation create direct trade relationships. Direct trade meaning direct from farm to them, to the roastery, so they can have a very transparent supply chain and know exactly where their coffee is coming from. So if you have not seen green bean, this is what it looks like. Very good. So this is green bean. Coffee is actually the seed of a coffee cherry fruit, and I will show you what that looks like in a second. So you may not know that coffee is actually a fruit, and the coffee seeds, which is what we drink, are actually the seed of that fruit. So this is what a coffee cherry looks like. And so at our farm, we pick only the ripest cherries. Our harvest season is from November through February, and we hand pick every single coffee cherry. There are 2 coffee seeds, coffee beans within each cherry, and it takes about 35 of these to make 1 cup of coffee. So as you sit there enjoying your cup of coffee, know that someone hand-picked 35 of those just for you to enjoy that.
What keeps me going is still knowing that there's a big difference that can be made with what we're doing here at Alma. So just because a lot of stuff has shut down here in the US, it's the same thing over in Honduras and Central America. Those farmers still need our support. Those folks there still need our help. And so with keeping on going, with still roasting, with still fulfilling online orders, that is still being able to fulfill the mission of what Alma is about. And that was the improving lives, the sustainability in everything we do, and producing extraordinary coffee. So just knowing that there's still a difference that we can be making is really what's driving me.
Yeah, so Honduras took the pandemic very, very badly. They actually shut down their entire borders, so you cannot go in or out of the country. So for us, we're used to being down at the farm, a few times a year. Harry and I will be there 5 to 6 times. My dad will be there actually every month. And not being able to go there in over 5 months, it's extremely difficult. Luckily, we have an amazing team that does the day-to-day down there. But it's been really hard. Right in the beginning, they weren't even allowed to commute between farms. You would get arrested if you were caught outside of your home, even if you had a medical emergency. So it's just been really tough down there getting containers of coffee. So we get all of our coffee brought in 42,000-pound containers out from our farm here to our roastery in North Georgia. It was extremely difficult. So many loops to jump through. No one is working, so it's just hard, but we've been able to do it. We've been able to bring 2 containers up since the pandemic started, so very blessed.
So should I look at the camera? Or should I look at her? Okay, that would probably make me more comfortable anyway. Alright, so my name is Meredith Herbenack. I'm a licensed professional counselor, also known as a therapist, and I am the owner and sole proprietor of Progressive Counseling Services. So that means that I work with clients. I see clients ages 14 and up for a variety of issues: depression, anxiety, grief. So I first opened my business in April 2019. I opened an office in Norcross, Georgia. I was living in Gwinnett at the time, and I was just working 2 days a week. I was working a different job at the time at a group practice. And then at the end of 2019, I moved to Cherokee County. So starting in January 2020, I opened my office in Canton, and I started seeing clients the first week of January. And I had a goal of moving to the Canton office full-time by May, June of 2020. So I was still seeing clients 2 days a week in Norcross and then 3 days a week here in Canton. And then the pandemic kind of changed that. Change. So prior to the pandemic, I had never done a single session of telehealth before. I had completed a telehealth training, which was good timing. I'm glad I had at least done that. And I think it was by the beginning of April I'd switched my entire practice to telehealth, which is doing video sessions, and I'm doing that from home, not from my typical office. So I have a home office, which is good just for safety. So I see all my clients through telehealth. I was nervous about it. I was very apprehensive. I wasn't sure how it would go, but it's gone very well. I was concerned that I would lose a lot of my clients because a lot of my clients were also anxious about it. They didn't like the idea of video chat. They were nervous about how it would change the relationship, but nearly every single one of my clients switched to telehealth, all of them except one, I think. And then I've actually gained a lot of new clients during this time. So my business has grown exponentially during the pandemic, and I'm not sure if that's just a result of I was a new business and I was growing already, or if it's a result of people during the pandemic needing mental health care. For me, everything has kind of been good timing. I've been lucky or blessed in that respect. When I switched from Norcross, my plan was I would have to lose all those Norcross clients because I was too far away for them to commute. But since I'm doing telehealth, I've been able to keep all those clients. So that has worked in my favor as well. So initially, I was thinking, it was just gonna be a couple weeks, maybe a month of some disruptions. I remember right away I went out to the store and I got some hand sanitizer, Clorox wipes, right before they sold out. Yeah, I still got them. So I was kind of thinking, okay, that's gonna be like the biggest disruption, try to clean a little bit more. I put up a sign outside my door about the symptoms, don't come to therapy if you have those symptoms. I amended my cancellation policy, so if someone was sick, I was like, I'm not gonna charge you, don't come in if you're sick. I was kind of thinking those were gonna be the biggest changes that I would have to make, and that it would be pretty short term. I think a lot of us kind of thought it was gonna be a lot more short term than it is. So that was kind of an adjustment. But very quickly, I think we realized this was a lot more serious and intense than we were prepared for. For me, it's been a lot of positives, which I know is not the case for a lot of people. So again, I'm very fortunate in that regard. One of the biggest drawbacks is dealing with insurance companies. So initially when I first switched my practice to telehealth, there was no guarantee that insurance companies would cover telehealth. They're very finicky about what they allow and what they don't allow. So at the time, or prior to the pandemic, most plans would not cover telehealth for behavioral health. I knew I had to switch to telehealth for my safety because of my health risks and my family's health risks. So I went ahead and did that. And I kind of assumed I would be eating a lot of the cost or having to set up payment plans with clients because most of my clients are insurance-based clients. But the insurance companies have made a lot of allowances for telehealth given the circumstances. But that has been a big pain even in that. So they say they cover it, but in the beginning they were only saying until a certain date. So when that date would come around, you would have to call for each client and make sure they were still covering it. Well, on average, a call to an insurance company takes about 45 minutes because they put you on hold and then they have to check a bunch of paperwork. So as my practice got more and more full, I just simply didn't have that time to do that. And they were also often rejecting claims, kind of saying that their system hadn't caught up with the fact that they were covering telehealth. So you would have to call them to have them resubmit it. So it was a lot of work and a lot of time, and I did actually end up hiring someone to make those phone calls for me. I think the biggest lesson is to trust my gut. So going into a business, I had never really been prepared to be a business owner. It was not something I'd ever really wanted to do, not something I had been interested in initially, and it was not something I had any training in. Like, we go to school to be a therapist, but they don't teach you about how to have a private practice. So I think there was always a lot of doubts when I started my practice. And then especially in the pandemic and having to make changes, there were a lot of questions, there was that panic. But I think I've really learned to honor my strengths and to recognize those, which I don't think I was always doing prior to the pandemic, just because I was so new at this. Everything was a learning lesson. But I think I've kind of have more of a healthy respect for that now, that I've made these good decisions. They were tough, but I made them and I've trusted them and it's worked out in my favor. So one of my strengths is definitely decision making, and I think I have to honor that. So I previously worked at a group practice, and it's where I got my career started. It's where I first started working when I finished grad school. So it was really meaningful to be able to have that experience, but the job became very toxic very quickly just because of the atmosphere. And it took a huge toll on my life. Like, I was really struggling with a lot of the decisions they were making. There was a lot of ethical concerns there. So I kind of started to explore what I was going to do next. And again, I'd never really been interested in starting my own business, but eventually I decided that the best way for me to continue doing what I love and to give my best self to my clients was to start my own business. So that's how I ended up here, in the past year plus. Was kind of just getting out of a tough spot and trying to create something new, which I think has worked out in my favor. It was pretty amazing to break free. It took a lot, and I was scared. I was scared to start my own practice and do my own marketing and doing all these things that I'd never done before, that I had no experience in. So I think, again, that's where my decision making has come into play, that is a strength of mine, and that I do a lot of research and try to learn everything that I can. But the pandemic has kind of shaken that up, but it's a growing process for everybody. One of the additional challenging aspects of all this as a therapist is that we haven't really been trained to work with clients while we're all dealing with the same thing. Maybe I've had like a grief experience in the past and I'm working with a client that's grieving, so I can connect with that, but we're usually not all dealing with that at the same time. So we're all dealing with this pandemic. And I think that is something that actually keeps me going as much as it is also a challenge. We're all in this together, so I feel like I'm gaining something from this as well as helping people cope with this. There's so much challenge for people during this time, so I think if I can look back on this period a couple years from now when it's hopefully all over, I know everyone's kind of looking at 2020 as this, horrible time, and it certainly has been, but I think knowing that I've hopefully brought some light into someone's life at some point during all this kind of gives me a little bit more hope for the future and gives me a little bit more gratitude for this time, even though it is so challenging. So helping people, being a part of their healing journey, trying to empower them, seeing the changes that they're making, definitely keeps me going. I think one of the biggest things is that some of these changes are going to be long-lasting for me. For one thing, I've grown a lot during this. I've learned to trust myself more as a business owner, but also I think telehealth will always be a part of my practice. It's something that's always going to be here. I think it is becoming more of the norm for the future. A lot of people are using that just to connect with their regular doctors. I think it's very convenient for a lot of people. They don't have to leave their home or they don't have to get childcare. So I think telehealth is here to stay. I do anticipate being back in my office at some point for face-to-face sessions, but I think I will always be doing at least a little bit of telehealth. It also allows me to see more clients that are further away. They have to be in the state of Georgia at all times, but it kind of opens up the door for more people than maybe just a 5 or 10 mile radius of Canton. I've actually seen clients now that I'll probably never meet in person, which is kind of a weird thing because it's such an intimate relationship and I'm only seeing them on a screen. It's been an interesting change. I think it works. For me, I'm an introvert, so I like being at home. For them, I think it's been a change. Some of my family also works from home. So they're there a lot as well. I've been lucky that, again, that I moved right before all of this. So in my old space, I did not have a home office. In my new space, I have my home office. I can close the door. I have a sound machine, so it can still be very private. And it's on the upstairs level of the house, and everyone else is downstairs. So I can have my space. I can have privacy and quiet, and little to no interruption for my clients. But I think it has been an adjustment just to have me around all the time. In the beginning, I wasn't as busy, so I had a lot more free time, so I'd maybe be hanging around the house, just kind of taking up time and bothering everybody. But now that my practice is full, I'm busy all day. I just pop down for lunch or pop down to refill my water bottle. I like it, because I am an introvert, and in my neighborhood I can get out and walk at least, but I think it'll be good for me to probably get back out again once everything calms down and once it's safe, but I don't mind staying at home. There have been several weeks, that I have not left the house at all, and I don't even notice. I know for some people it is such a struggle, it's so isolating, but I stay in contact with friends, I have my family, I work all day and that keeps me occupied. I mean, it's very different for clients to be at home. Sometimes they have kids, busting in. Sometimes I see adolescent clients, sometimes they're uncomfortable with thinking that their parents or their siblings can overhear their sessions. So sometimes they even have their own sound machines that they're turning on, or sometimes all of a sudden they'll start whispering, be like, I think somebody's walking outside the door. And I'm like, okay. So that is very different. In another way, it's a little bit more intimate. I'm seeing their space that I normally wouldn't see. The space that they live in, the space where they sleep in. Sometimes they're in their bed in their pajamas. Sometimes they're in their car. That's the only place they can get privacy. Sometimes they're in a closet. Just anywhere that they can get away from everybody else. So that's kind of a change to the session structure. I've had kids now going back to college, so they're giving me tours of their dorm rooms. Normally they're just here on this couch, and that's the only part of them that I'm seeing is the 1 hour that they're here in this space. So that's different. I get a more in-depth peek into their life, which I kind of enjoy. Other times it can be a little different, a little strange. As far as what the boundaries are they driving in the car? I say, no, you cannot drive. That's dangerous. That's a risk. But you can sit in your car, and then there's, the kids or the spouses, coming in. And sometimes I get to meet them, which is also a unique experience that I normally don't get. So I do enjoy that. Because a lot of times I might ask clients, especially maybe adolescent clients, I'm like, how do you decorate your room? What does it look like? Do you keep it clean or is it messy? What do you prefer? And now I can kind of see that. I can see a tour of that, and I can ask, well, what does that mean to you? Why did you choose that picture? Or why do you have this picture of this person? Who is that to you?
What's been one of your biggest struggles?
I think trying to stay positive. It's something that I have to consciously tell myself to do every single day. Look at everything on the bright side, because there's a lot of negative right now, a lot of negative in the media, lots of just negativity. So trying to bring that positive attitude, we call it the Almatude. So right when we step on the property, we put on the Almatude, and it's gonna be the best day of your life, because you never know what tomorrow is gonna bring, so you gotta live today like it's the last day. If I could go back, I would just be a little bit more positive and try to continue persevering. Luckily, I think we've managed it the best way we could have, but I think my attitude in the beginning could have been a little more positive instead of the negative.
I've almost taken the word mistake out of my vocabulary. I really feel like as long as you learn from something, it's not really a mistake. I don't think that I would have done anything differently just because there wasn't much else we could do but close. But I have really tried to use this time to learn about myself and learn more about yoga, training to be a yoga therapist or a mindfulness coach. So for me, the lesson learned is stay open to new things. If one door is shut, look for that open window, look for that other door, and just keep learning about yourself and your profession.
Gosh, there's so many things that I've learned, but I think the biggest thing is you think you've reached your max in what you think you're capable of doing, and then COVID pushed me to go even further than that. So prior to the pandemic, our website was kind of just a business segment that was stagnant. We built it and left it there, and we were really happy when we got like a couple orders. And with the pandemic, I put myself in an office for 3 weeks, just completely redid the whole website, and it's really paid off. Everyone has turned to the online model, and we've gotten so much great feedback on the website, so many new customers. We've started working with other coffee subscription partners like Misto Box or Honey and Roses, and now the opportunities are coming, and our online is at a place that we never imagined it could ever be. So it's been a blessing in disguise in a way. It pushed me to do something I never thought I could do. Coding and all this stuff that I'm just not, I never really studied it. I was previously an accountant. I did a little bit of management information systems, but hey, Google can teach you anything.
So for any of the business owners watching this, for any aspiring entrepreneurs, or anyone in general who wants to support a small business, you cannot focus and dwell on all this is going bad. I mean, this is something that's once in 100 years that's going on around here, and every single day is different. You have no idea what tomorrow is going to bring, but focus on what you can control and execute. Dwelling on, hey, it's a pandemic, everyone's suffering, this and that, that's not going to help your business. That's not going to be able to feed your employees. That's not going to be able to feed the stakeholders that are relying on your business. Look to what you can do and the challenges that you're facing. What are the solutions you can come up with and execute on them? That's what I would say. And then for the folks that are supporters of small business, even my wife and I, we try and go out when we can to the local restaurants because they need our help. So not only are you looking to focus on what you can change and control, but then also focus on where you can support. On the local small businesses that are really struggling, the restaurants, the mom and pop grocery stores. Go there, check them out, support them because they really need our help during this time. A lot of our small businesses, us included, do not have a plan B to fall back on or have a big credit line to fall back on and help us get through this pandemic. We really need your support from the local communities. If you can support someone online, buy from them online. If there's a local mom and pop grocery store, buy from them.
The first weekend opening, the kids that normally come in here and skate, seeing them in here and, sometimes they break the rules or, drive you a little crazy, but at the end of the day, seeing them in here and enjoying something that you've enjoyed your whole life, growing up in it, really pushes you to continue to do it every weekend.
Yeah, and they were just, everybody, all of our customers when we opened, they were very thankful for us opening, thankful to be able to come out. They were very appreciative. They let us all know that they had been thinking about us, and a lot of our customers reached out to us on Facebook and just checked on us. We had people send us gift cards and stuff, and we didn't necessarily need the gift cards, but it was nice to know that like schools and other people, PTAs that I've worked with in the past, that they were thinking about us and knew the struggle, and they knew that we needed something to pick us up. So it was really nice to see that they did that.
Community has been so supportive, not only of me, but other small businesses. The owners of 61 Main are my landlords, and they've been absolutely unbelievably understanding through all of this. I'm so grateful for my landlords, their understanding, their support. And running a small business is tough during normal times. So obviously this has been super tough for small businesses, and it's been a way, especially for the Jasper community, that we've all been able to come together and support each other and ask, how can we help you? And it's completely been reciprocal as well.
One thing I've learned through COVID-19, I would say it's that the market is still strong. People are still buying. As long as you love what you're doing, you love your product, you love the people who are buying it, you're really good to those people, and then you can do good with what you're doing. I think the thing I learned is that people will buy into that. And not only will they buy into it, but you're actually doing good for other people. The other thing I learned was, believe in yourself, believe in your product, believe in your brand, believe in, what you're doing, because it really could set you up for success. Even though it's scary and it's tough, it's totally possible.
Yeah, definitely don't be afraid of changes, because I feel like every week we've kind of changed something to better the business, whether it's been a product we're using to clean with, or the way how many times our employees are cleaning, or all the regulations. There's just something different every week. So you kind of have to be on your toes all the time to make sure you're doing good with all the changes. There's just a lot.
I love teaching yoga, especially in person. So I've really missed that human interaction. I've missed that human connection, so I think that's been the hardest part for me. We are trying to teach some outdoor classes in the community and within the neighborhood, and I've gone to friends' houses, and we've taught yoga by the pool so that we can have that a little bit. But for me, we were really creating that community. For me, losing that human connection was the hardest part. And I had a lot of parents ask me, how can I teach my children this? Because I teach it in the studio, but they really wanted to be able to teach it at home. I partnered with an amazing illustrator who really brought these children and these characters to life. And we published in mid-July, and within 1 week, it was an Amazon #1 bestseller. So needless to say, we were super excited about that. It's called Om Yoga Kids.